Throughout history, people have made amazing accomplishments that define themselves. Now, it's our turn to tell those accomplishments, to tell his story, her story, their story, and even your story. With Mike Wexler.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new interview. Thank you guys so much for joining in. We're now on Spotify, and now we're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. There's so much now. It's 2021.
Options galore.
We're here live, actually, if you guys can't tell, from the Wrestling Guy store, where we're celebrating 8 years of the Wrestling Guy store. So shout out to David and the crew over at the Wrestling Guy store for 8 years, hosting these meet and greets. And speaking about that, I'm very lucky and blessed to be interviewing one person today. Commentator, professional wrestler, YouTuber extraordinaire, and of course, Twitch extraordinaire as well. You can definitely find us up on @DramaKingMatt, and of course, Wrestling with Whiskey. And you know what? I'm just going to introduce him. So, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Rehwoldt, aka Drama King Matt, aka Aiden English. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to get this conversation going. It's really great to really get to talk to you after being a fan for so many years.
Oh, I appreciate it. No, it's great to finally kind of have the freedom to tell my stories and kind of in any way I want.
Yeah, so kind of the first question that I was going for, of course, it's probably going to be the most controversial question. But, I mean, I'm always here to ask those tough questions. Payback 2016, tag team match between yourself, Simon Gotch, as well as the team with Enzo and Cass. There was a spot where during that match, Enzo had that little whiplash in the ring. Can you talk to us about, was that a shoot that happened, or was it kind of an accidental thing that ended up just stopping the match?
I mean, both. Usually that's what happens when an accident happens, and it turns into a shoot or a real incident, and that's what that was. He meant to try to take that bump. He did not expect it to cause that, obviously. That was the intentional, I don't remember if that was a cutoff for the match or whatever, but and yes, fans and the guy will argue did you push him too hard? Did he not know how to take him? I don't know. And I don't think he knows and anything like that. I'm not going to get into that. But he's taken, we had done that bump with him a lot on house shows. And he's gone on and said the same thing. He's been able to do it before. But that's the dangerous part of it. It's a crazy physical business. And sometimes the thing you've done a million times, one little thing changes and it leads to a disaster. He just whiplashed too hard, hit his head, and he was out.
Yeah, and then of course after that match, we did end up going after the tag team titles with Simon Gotch later on. But before we do, one thing I'm very curious about as well is, of course, Drama King Matt, and of course the Twitch, the YouTube, and everything that you're doing currently. What is kind of like that transition to being just from a professional wrestler, commentator, and a regular influencer to now you're doing all these social media platforms. You're doing YouTube and Wrestling with Whiskey, and then you're also doing the Patreon, which you guys could contribute to as well. I always have to put those plugs in there. So, what was it like, kind of transitioning into social media platform stuff?
So it's weird. It was weird for me at first because I'm coming from WWE, where I was one job, pretty much one place, for almost 8 or 9 years there, and who also, quite frankly, keep a pretty tight on a hand on what their talent does. They keep a pretty tight control on what their talent does. So it was just fly here, wrestle here, drive. It was the wrestler job. And now, and quite frankly, that was what I always wanted. I was always a very simple guy. I'm like, just give me one job forever. I don't want to do anything else. Just tell me where to go and let me do it forever. And it always intimidated me to be one of those people like, I've got 6 things going on, right? I do this, I do that. I'm like, oh, that seems too much. And so at first it was weird. I kind of wanted to get a 10, but now as I got into it, I'm like, yeah, wait, let me start that. I already had a YouTube channel with Wrestling with Whiskey. Why did I start another one? It's probably stupid, but I wanted to kind of conjunction it with the Twitch thing and everything like that. But I really like the whole, I guess we'll just kind of wrap it up and call it content creation. It allows me to express myself on different platforms and have the freedom to tell all kinds of sides of myself and all kinds of things, again, with way more openness and freedom under my own kind of control now. And so, like I said, it was weird at first, but it's really free now.
Yeah, and you have the platform to really express yourself and really give your story and to give, fans access to say like, hey, I'm a real dude, you know what I mean? Like just giving them advice whenever they need advice with the Twitch channel or anything like that. So really kind of putting yourself and just really telling your story is really awesome.
Yeah, no, I love it. It also then you hit on the point there, like the fan interaction. It's a different level than it was with WWE. You get to see maybe people a little bit more intimate house shows and things like that. But I mean, you're going. You're just wrestling in front of thousands of people, and you don't really get to make that connection here. Whether it's Twitch streaming, whether it's people coming in through your YouTube videos, whether it is Patreon or whatever, live streams, things like that. You do get a little bit of a personal interaction. Again, even if it's just a comment here or there, you're actually getting to talk to people.
Right.
You know what I mean? As opposed to just, hey, see you later, thanks for coming to the show. And I would say, I'm a really good wrestler. I do feel confident in that. But I think my strongest suit as a human is just kind of being down to earth and connecting with people and building. That's what I always have, not just content creating, what I'm doing now, but community creating.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it is. People want to come back to somewhere to hang out with some people they feel like are friends, our community, our family, that kind of a thing, as opposed to just like, it's not just a celebrity watching games and stuff like that. People want to be part of a unit, part of their community.
Oh yeah, especially with the Drama King Matt, platform that you have on Twitch and YouTube, you really hit the nail on the coffin when you do that. You're connected with all these people that want to be a part of it. You make them a part of the streams. So that's something that I really value too as a consumer myself, where I'm like, man, this guy's shouting out 5 of his subscribers and now he's like a worldwide figure. So it's something like really special, especially within the wrestling world.
Yeah, 100%. I love it.
So one thing I know you mentioned so many, you have a video actually about talking about your transition from from wrestling to commentary. But can you at least talk about a little bit about working with Tom Phillips, working with Johnny LaQuasto, because you've had a huge impact when it comes to the wrestling commentary business.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, and it was one of the reasons I stayed doing it so long, because as I say in the video, and I've said before, this wasn't something forced upon me. A lot of people sometimes think it was, were you forced to do this? Were you injured? No. It was at a time where there was nothing really written for me or anything on TV, and so the opportunity was thrown to me. Tom Phillips has been a friend for years, going back to NXT, and he had just come and was like, I think you'd be good at this, give it a try. And I was like, you know what, I believe in saying yes, so why not? And then getting to work with guys like Vic Joseph, Nigel McGuinness, right out of the gate, I had such a great chemistry with those guys and so much fun with them too, that I think it made me fall in love with the job even more than I already was. And then getting to work with Tom as well, and then getting to work with John Quasto as well, and getting Michael Cole, even getting to work with him much more closely and stuff like that was very, very cool. My old buddy Corey Graves. So getting to that, it's a really great team that I think doesn't quite get enough credit.
Okay.
So it was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I mean, you were on 205 Live, you were on WrestleMania, you were at NXT UK at one point. I mean, that transition from 205 Live to NXT UK, I mean, the travel had to be at least, a little bit of overwhelmness.
Oh no. Not for me. I always I'm always bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, stupid when it comes to travel. Or maybe I'm just still young enough. I'm not one of the grizzled vets, but I still to this day, like I travel kind of gets me excited. Like, a crappy flight will make you go, ugh. But I like, especially knowing that NXT UK, I know it's long and like the flights and everything like that. But God, if I get any chance to go to another country and be engulfed in like another culture, I'm over. I don't care if it's a 15-hour flight. I'm in.
Right, and also talking about your social media platforms, you also do have a Cameo, which fans can purchase a world famous, Aiden Day, Rusev Day, or
your day. Your day. Make it your day.
Right. I know you've probably talked about this before about Rusev Day and how it just all of a sudden became popular. When you and Miro now were teaming up first time, was that kind of the idea at first of like trying to make this something that was small into a huge something later on?
Absolutely no. No, not a chance. I've said it a lot, man. It was supposed to be a one-off. We kind of were just like, I was wrestling Randy a few times randomly.
Right.
I was kind of lower card, but I just had a couple matches. Randy liked me, so wanted to work with me. And then he was in a story with Miro. And so I was just kind of caught in the crossfire. So I just was part of the segment 1 week, and they're like, all right, we'll bring back, we'll use your gimmick. And we did that the first Rusev Day, the key to Club in Bulgaria. Again, I also tell the story on my YouTube of having to learn the national anthem in less than 48 hours, get a tux fitted, and flown to Phoenix, Arizona anyway. All that, even that whole thing was supposed to be a one-off. We're just, again, go your separate ways. But then they called it Rusev Day. Something about that clicked with fans, and they just started cheering. You know what I mean? And it just took on a life of its own from there.
Well, from Rusev Day to also Aiden Day, which that was a very interesting transition itself too. One thing I'm also interested in was your singles WWE theme song, which was a very, I think it was opera. I think that was.
Yeah, so like I always forget about it until like somebody shares like a clip. There must be like YouTube out there of like this little Tron and it has the music. Because here's the thing, like, if you remember, especially the last couple of years, I think I've never been music because I was always either with Rusev and I would just sing the intro and then it was Rusev's music. So I didn't really hear it a lot. And even back in the day, like the singles matches I had before Rusev Day, I still sung myself to the ring. So you wouldn't hear it in the beginning. And I also would win a lot, so you wouldn't hear it at the end. But then I swear to God, there was always this one, during that summer before Rusev Day, I had a short little thing with Sami Zayn while he was feuding with Kevin Owens, and I beat him on TV. And they held my hand up and music played, and I go, and I remember being like, whose music is this? I'm like, do I have music? Oh, holy crap, I totally forgot. It was that funny just because of my singing, persona, I never really heard the music.
Now, sidebar, vaudevillains or your own? Which one did you feel that really personified the Aiden English persona?
With the music?
Yeah, the music wise.
I mean, neither one of them, as far as like the official theme songs. No, I mean, I think I'm defined by coming out and singing my own stuff, different things every week. That's what I liked about it. I know theme songs brand you, and when we hear the music crash or when you hear that glass break, so to speak. But I like the idea of every week I sing something different. Right. And I can change the lyrics. I can make fun of my opponent, or I can talk about the event or the city we're in. So I always dug that.
Yeah. And now speaking about, you're not just a single specialist, but also a tag team specialist as well. You've been part of the vaudevillains, and of course, that's Rusev Day. And then now, due to the current times, we really don't see a lot of wrestling events happen. But there is a possibility that, we might see the reuniting of Rusev Day or the vaudevillains. Is there a possible chance that we might see Matt Rehwoldt in either AEW or somewhere down the lines with Impact or any of those wrestling promotions in the future?
There's always an opportunity. And like kind of going back to what I said at the beginning, it was like, I like the freedom of what I'm doing right now. And so for me, the important thing is, yes, I would love, again, to sign a contract and be a part of a family and part of a company again. But for me, it's also very important to be able to have that freedom to express myself in other outlets. Because I have found other passions in addition to wrestling, you know what I mean? And I want to explore those. And so for me, it's not just about the job or the contract or whatever, it's about the opportunity. So wherever that ends up being, as long as we can work something out with that, 100%. You take the wrestler out of the ring, but you will never take the wrestling out of the wrestler. So the opportunity is always there if it's the right one.
Oh yeah, I mean, there has to be the opportunity too of a reuniting of Rusev Day with Miro, possibly in the future.
No. That's so you never say never. We all know that. But I've explained it. I don't think you want that. I don't think the fans want that. They think they want that, but I think it would be a fool's errand. I'm not saying we couldn't work together or work against each other because we have a great time. I love the guy and we have a great time together. But I think both he and I think fans would agree, if you did that, if I got to AEW and I came out singing and it was Miro Day, you would be hacking up some other company's thing and trying to recreate it. You're trying to make lightning strike twice. It doesn't work. It would have to be something new, something different, something interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's always different stuff that, goes to people's taste and stuff like that. But Aiden, before we go, I do want to thank you so much for, getting the time, sitting down and getting to talk to you. But before I do have one final question, and that is, of course, with 2021, approaching still, we're in February as of this recording. What is your big goal for 2021?
2020, it's tough. I mean, obviously, everyone's had a crazy year. We don't know what's happening next week, let alone 6 months from now, right?
Right.
How much of the world will be open? Are we going to be all locked indoors again? So I say this, 2021 is a big year for me of exploration. 2020, I think a lot of us were grappling and just trying to hold ourselves steady. 2021, hopefully, as things get better and we're starting to find that ground, it's explore. I'm going to keep doing the things I'm doing. I want to see those through to their fullest potential. Twitch in general, but it's more than just like, hey, I'm another wrestler jumping on Twitch. Like, I'm really, again, and I'm surprised too, like esports and hosting events for that and everything. And I've reached out to friends who are in the gaming industry and everything like that. And I'm like, I don't want this again to just be hanging out and talking about wrestling forever. Like I want to also be incorporated into that community. The whiskey thing, man. I want to see if we can grow this barrel club I have to a couple hundred members. Because then when we do that, we can have our pick of the litter of these barrels that we want to do and everything like that. So it's continuing to grow the things I love, and if wrestling's a part of that, great. If it's not, I'm okay.
Right.
But like I said, you'll never take wrestling out of me. I'm always open to any opportunity.
Well, I do want to thank you once again for sitting down, getting to chat with me. And for those who don't know, you can follow Matt on all social medias. Link will be down in the description for his Twitch, his YouTube, his Patreon, just basically everything, which the link will be down in the description. But not only that, shout out to the Wrestling Guy store for 8 years being on this great business, which is the Huntington Park, which you guys could visit. Also, link will be down in the description below. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next interview.